Hello humans, Artist with the Fro here, and welcome back to the show. Kind of doing a little bit of a side video. I've gotten a few people asking me about some of the other decks that I do have, and some of the sort of like plans that I have for those types of decks. So this is basically going to be a deck profile of the 2020 version of my Simorgh deck, with the new support that was just announced in Duel Overload, which we will be implementing into this deck to make it more of kind of like a control base type of deck. Now, the Simorgh playstyle kind of runs very similarly to, I guess you would say, your standard Harpy or Wing Beast type of deck, where there's a lot of summoning, and there's a lot of sort of cards that are often either returned to the hand or returned from the extra deck back to the deck, and so on and so forth. However, with the new support that recently came out in Rising Rampage of last year, all of the Simorgh cards now have their own archetype, and this is an extremely, I would say this is probably the cheapest deck that I currently own, only for the fact of the matter where half, if not all, of the Simorgh cards are common, and the two super cards that do show up in Rising Rampage are also both very easy to get. So you could probably pick up the deck for something like $10, $15 if you really wanted to like chill out for the high rarities of all of the extra deck monsters. But let's actually just get into the cards, and then I'll explain what each of them do. Before we actually begin, what you need to understand is that all of the Simorgh monsters all have a very similar effect, where at the bottom they say if this card is in your graveyard and your opponent has no spell or trap cards on the field, you can special summon one of them from the graveyard, and when they're removed again, they end up being removed from play. Once you activate that effect, you are kind of locked into Wing Beast monsters in order to be special summoned. So it does lock your extra deck, it does lock your main deck, but since the majority of the cards in the deck are Wing Beasts, you really don't have anything to worry about. So starting off, we have two Simorgh Bird of Beginning. This is kind of the marauding captain of the deck. It allows you to get an extra normal summon, and it's not too necessary, but it's really just a way to get more bodies on the field, and then subsequently to link summon to get more bodies in the graveyard. So basic generic 1-star can go straight for Link Karibo or Ling Karibo. You can also go for Slacker Magician if you run a 2 of them. Moving on to the main card, we actually have 3 Simorgh Bird of Bringing. This is your bread and butter. Without this card, the deck is kind of obsolete. Basically, when they are normal summoned, they allow you to add a Simorgh card from your deck, and that includes the spells and the traps as well. And this basically just lets you search for the thing that you're looking for. Most of the time, you're really going to be going for the spell card Onslaught, but this can also help you get some of the higher level monsters, or again, Bird of Beginning if you need it. Especially also, it does activate as a search for the field spell as well, which is something that you could use. Generic 1300, 2-star wind monster, same graveyard effect as mentioned before. Moving on to another monster that we do have, we have 2 Simorgh Bird of Calamities. Now, this is pretty much your Armageddon Knight. It allows you to send one Simorgh card from your deck to the graveyard. Again, just really building up for the effects to be activated from the graveyard and then being summoned back to the hand. 3-star, 1500 attack. Moving on, we run 2 Simorgh Bird of Protections. This is the one card I will say, if you do wish to side it out, or rather if you are looking to make the deck a little bit more competitive, this is a card that you can consider not running and switching it out for something a little bit more viable. This can be your substitute for your hand traps or anything else. Basically, when this card is normal summoned, it allows you to send spells and traps equal to the number of Wing Beast monsters you control on the field. Sorry, equal to the number of Simorgh cards you control on the field. So it's not really that good per se. And I'm actually going to correct myself because I'm reading the effect now. It says you can target 1 card. So it only allows you to target 1 and return it back to the hand. 1 spell or trap. So like I mentioned before, not really that good of a card. It's only primarily in the deck because it is a generic 4-star Simorgh. And it does still share the graveyard effect. So if you're not sending this with Calamity, you're definitely not searching it with Beginning. Moving on to our high-level Simorgh cards, you're running 2 Dark Simorghs. Basic, kind of like a stun monster. It's able to be special summoned if you banish a dark or wind monster from your graveyard, and it prevents your opponent from setting any cards on the field. So it's a good out against Subterror or Altergeist or any of the more or less staller or stun type of decks. And he is not only allowed to be special summoned from the hand, but he's also able to special summon himself from the graveyard if you do the same banish, but banish a Dark and Wind monster from your hand. So another good 7-star. Moving on, we have our first 8-star and one of 2 boss monsters in the deck, Simorgh of Darkness. I actually prefer this over Simorgh Lord of the Storm, but it's also another good card to have, primarily because of that dark attribute, which you are going to be using to help you summon Dark Simorgh if need be. Now, what this card basically says is that when a tribute summon happens, you can special summon this card either from your hand or your graveyard. And once per turn, when a spell, trap, or effect is activated, this is a quick effect, you can tribute 1 wind wing beast monster and negate the activation. So you can't necessarily tribute himself unless you have a certain other card. He does have, granted, the added effect of him also being called a wind attribute while he is currently on the field. So I actually want to retract that. You can tribute him and then just activate, or rather do another normal tribute summon, and then you're able to bring him back from the graveyard and on the field. Aside from that, we have 1 Simorgh Lord of the Storm. If this card is actually tribute summon, your opponent can't target it with spell or trap cards or effects. When a spell, trap, or effect is activated, very similarly to Simorgh Lord of Darkness, or rather Simorgh of Darkness, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and shuffle that back into the deck. So it's a really good card. Also, it also states that when a wing beast monster you control is destroyed by battle, you can, and this card is in your graveyard, you can add it straight to your hand. So another good kind of like fodder card, but something that you could actually use if you tribute summon. Let's say if you tribute summon Simorgh of Darkness to summon Lord of the Storm, you can then activate Darkness's effect to bring it back. So now you have 2 8-star monsters. We'll go over a little bit more of some combo hands, just to make sure you guys are a little bit more aware as to what or how this deck operates and the best type of set that you can have. Moving on to some of the support, we're going to move a little bit faster. We are running 1 Gale, generic 3-star tuner, allows you to halve the attack and defense of 1 face-up monster on the field that your opponent controls. Another good tuner, kind of an out if you need to go for anything like Black Rose or Catastor. This deck does use some synchro support, so you can time this in. You can also side it out if you want to, but it's really up to you. Aside from that, we're running 2 Canine Tars, another card that I would say you might want to side out. If you are going to side this out for anything, I do recommend replacing it with Danger Thunderbird, mainly because of the draw power that it has and the fact that it's also a dark wind beast monster. So it's an extra out for your Dark Simorgh. But what Canine Tar says, or rather what he does, is that when he's attacked, or if he is attacking, you can send 1 Wing Beast monster from your deck to the graveyard to have him gain attack based on that Wing Beast monster's level. So he can go anywhere from 15, or rather anywhere from 16 all the way up to 22, depending on the Wing Beast monster that you send with his own effect. Moving on, we have 2 Harpy's Harpist. Another good card that I would say you don't necessarily have to out, but it's a really, really good card for this type of deck. When it's normal summon, you can target a wing beast you control other than him, or rather other than her, and 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and return them both back to the hand. Also, during the end phase, this card does let you search for a wing beast monster with 4 levels and 1500 or less attack. So you're basically using this to go for your Bird of Protection. Going on to the one, I guess, actual hand trap, quote unquote, that we have. We're running 1 Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere mode. If your opponent controls 3 monsters, just tribute this. Really good against combo decks. If you do want to side this out, I would say obviously side it out for Nibiru. Now moving on to the spell cards, there's actually a little bit of explaining that has to be done because the spell cards themselves have particular effects. So I'm just going to show you them both at the same time. We have Simorgh Onslaught over here and Simorgh Repulsion. Now the effect that both of these share is that if they're in your graveyard, you can banish them from your graveyard to then make one Wing Beast monster in your hand reduce its level by 1. So if you have both of these in the grave, you can then reduce a Wing Beast monster's level by 2. And this is going to go back into the combo potential that I'm going to show you in a bit, and how you can utilize that to really just get the most out of this deck. Now, Simorgh Onslaught allows you to search for 2 Simorgh cards by discarding one Wing Beast monster from your hand. So again, it's a really good, you just discard a Wing Beast, you activate this, you get the 2 cards that you need, which will probably be Beginning or Bringing, or the higher levels if you already have those cards in your hand. And it's a really good card because it allows you to just get more of that potential out quicker. Running it at 3, I wouldn't recommend, only because you don't want to have too many of these in your hand and less Wing Beast monsters. Simorgh Repulsion acts as your Giant Troon aid, allowing you to send spell and trap cards back to your opponent's hand, which again allows you to get the cards that you need to summon your Simorgh cards from the graveyard. Again, you can only summon your Simorgh cards from the grave if your opponent has no spell or trap cards on their side of the field. Moving on to probably the most important card that I would say for the deck. I'm actually going to hold off on this just to give you guys more of the generic cards. 2 Mystical Space Typhoon, sided off for Twin Twister if you want. 1 card of Destruction, again just to help out with sending the Simorgh cards to the grave. 1 Dark Hole, just for basic destruction. Foolish Burial, again, sending more of your birds to the graveyard. 1 Monster Reborn. 1 Reasoning, again, kind of another milling effect, but it also might let you get an out by getting a free special summon on one of the higher level monsters in your deck. 1 Terraforming to then get the field spell that we're going to talk about. Now, the field spell has a few effects that need to be mentioned, very similarly to Simorgh Onslaught and Simorgh Repulsion. So, the first thing that it says is that all Wing Beast monsters gain 300 attack and defense. So it automatically boosts most of your monsters to at least 18 or 1700, depending on what you need. For the boss monsters, they're going to go straight up to 31 and 32 respectively. Now, aside from that, you can reveal 1 level 5 or higher Wing Beast monster from your hand, and this turn you can normal summon Wing Beast monsters for 1 less tribute. Now, Simorgh, Dark Simorgh, Simorgh of Darkness, and Lord of the Storm all require 2, so once you activate this effect, you only have to tribute 1 of them for 1. Also, it says if you control a Wing Beast monster, you immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon another Wing Beast monster. So it lets you get 2 summons if you have a Wing Beast monster on the field. So another good double summon card. Probably the most important card I would say that you want to have or you want to see in your hand. And it's another one of the cards that you're also going to be searching for your Bird of Bringing. You're asking him to bring it to you. Aside from that, 2 Evenly Matched. And then to finish this off, we run 2 Harpies Feather Storms, which allows you just basically to negate any monster effects your opponent activates, whether it be on the hand or in the field. Now, if you do control a Harpy monster, you can activate this card straight from your hand. So it's another good card to have, along with the Harpy's Harpist. I'm going to run through the extra deck so that we can have some time to look at some combo hands and just go over some potential that you might need. Of course, starting off, Brionac. We have 1 Red Dragon Archfiend, 1 Great Fly, allowing you to boost the attack and defense of your wind monsters by 500. 2 Firefighting Daruma Dolls. They basically just let you get the banished monsters back from the grave if they destroy a monster by battle. And they also gain 100 attack for every beast, beast warrior, and or wing beast monster on your side of the field. Or rather, sorry, on the field. We're running 1 Win the Wind Charmer Verdant, a good card for mirror matches, another good card just really to have on the field. If it's destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can add a wind monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. So another good link monster. 2 Harpies Conductors, really for the Feather Storm, but also for the fact that they also gain some attack from the field spell as well. So they can go up to 2200. 1 Hravelsvager. the Desperate Doom Eagle, a very good OTK card, and I really feel like it's slept on mainly because of its rarity, but it can also let you get some of the things that you need. It basically allows you to return one card from your opponent's graveyard back to their deck, and while this card is on the field and your opponent has no cards in their graveyard, he gains 2400 attack, so he goes straight up to 48. Another good like wombo combo card, but not really good to see late game if you're facing off against combo. Borrelord Dragon, Wind Up Zen Mains, 50 Black Ship of Corn, and then our two rank 8 exceeds are both Galaxy Eyes Tachyon and Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon. So I'm going to just show you guys a few combos, or rather some of the hands that you generally want to have with this type of deck, kind of just to illustrate how much potential this style of gameplay would have. So let's say you're starting off, and the majority of the time you're going to have one or two of the Simorgh cards that you need. I would say the best cards that you kind of want to have, or rather the best hand that you would want to have starting off, would look something very similar to this. So you have your Bird of Beginning, your Bird of Bringing, you have Onslaught, Dark Simorgh, and then the Field Spell. So if you're able to honestly, if you're able to get these two cards in your hand, you really don't need any of the other cards, and these three cards can just be interchangeable. But if you don't have these two, or if you have one of them, then you're really going to be using Bird of Bringing to search the other card. So let's say you have a hand like this, right? So you start off first by activating Elborz. Now, Elborz is going to allow you to get 2 more summons when you have a Wind Beast monster. However, you automatically have Bird of Beginning, and that's going to automatically let you get another summon anyway, so you don't necessarily even need to use it. So let's say you were to go for something like Bird of Bringing, or rather Bird of Beginning, then you normal summon Bird of Bringing. Activating Bird of Bringing's effect, you already have 2 of the Simorgh cards that you need. You don't necessarily need to go for anything else. So let's say you're going to search for, and I'll show you why, but you're going to search for Simorgh of Darkness. And you're going to really just have him there really for your tribute potential. So with the 3 cards that you have left, you do still have another extra normal summon on a Wing Beast monster. You only summoned 1, and you got the extra summon based off of Beginning's effect. So what you're going to do is you're going to activate Onslaught, and this card is going to allow you to send Darkness to the grave to then add 2 more Simorgh cards to your hand. So you're immediately going to look for, and I'm going to mention this as well, you're going to go for Simorgh Lord of the Storm. And then any of the other cards that you want to get, you kind of don't need another Bringing or Beginning, but let's say we add him just in case, so that way we can get the cards that, let's say, we need. Now, you have 3 cards in your hand, you have 2 cards on the field. Even if your opponent has some cards on their side of the field, it's not like it really matters to you, because you're about to kind of like just go into a crazy move in this entire turn. So you can do a few things. First thing I would recommend is revealing Lord of the Storm to then have, using the effect of Elborz, to then have all of your Wing Beast monsters be summoned with 1 less tribute. So this automatically means that you only need 1 tribute to summon Lord of the Storm, and you only need 1 tribute to summon Dark Simorgh. Now, you can do that if, let's say you had 2 spell cards or an Onslaught and Repulsion in the grave. You can send them both and reduce Dark Simorgh straight down to a 5-star monster, and then with that 1 less tribute you can just normal summon him because he'll be a 4-star monster. So this allows you to get him out really fast in that type of combo. But let's say we wanted to go for something else. So I'm going to start off first, and I'll tribute summon, right? So I'll tribute summon Bird of Bringing to normal summon Lord of the Storm. Now I do still have Simorgh of Darkness, so he's immediately going to be summoned once I bring him back. If my opponent didn't, or rather if my opponent did have any cards on the field, I would hopefully send them back to the hand with Repulsion, but this right here is also another good field to have. Now I can overlay these to then go for Tachyon Dragon, or if my opponent doesn't have any cards, I can bring back Bird of Bringing. But I still have the extra summon, so before I even do anything like that, I can summon another wind monster. Now, from here, I have 4 monsters on the field, and I can kind of just go as crazy as I want to. So let's say we were to overlay, actually, let's say we were to link first. So I'll link summon with these 2. To then summon, we'll get Heartbeat's Conductor, just because she'll allow a few of our monsters to gain some extra attack points. And then from there, let's activate both of the other two, or rather, let's not activate the cards effects yet. We're going to overlay if we need to, if we want to summon Tachyon Dragon. And then from there, we can bring back both Bringing and Bird of Beginning, and then we can link summon again if we want to then summon another Wind Beast or Wing Beast monster. We can go for the Charmer, we can go for Daruma, or we can go for Great Fly. So then our rest of our field, and I'll move the cards down here, the rest of our field could look something like this. Or if you really want to have, you know, kind of that overpowered, like, presence type of field, you can just end it with something like these 4 cards. So generally, it allows you to get most of the 8-star monsters that you want as easy as possible. However, like I mentioned before, it is necessary that you at least have 1 of 3 cards in your hand to start every turn. And if you have 2 of the 3, then you're better off. If you have all 3, then you can kind of just go for whatever combo you guys want. But that's pretty much going to end it for this type of deck video. I'm going to try to upload it in a different format so that way it has a higher sense of quality. I've been working on some extra stuff that I want to have and I want to show for you guys. So, and there's also going to be, again, more support that was just announced in Duel Overload that will be coming out. So, that aside, tell me what you guys think. If you guys have any combos of your own that you would like to mention or rather include as well that I can run, I would love to hear them. Again, thank you all for the support that you've shown the channel recently. We've jumped up from about 60 subscribers at the start of this year to somewhere in the 100 or 200s, I believe, and I can only thank all of the people that have joined, all of the humans that are watching right now, and all of the people that will hopefully continue to watch as we move on with our sealed only journey. So aside from that, I've been the Artist with the Fro. This, my friends, was the show, and thank you all for watching. Take care.